we're seeing a dramatic increase of people trying to cross over America's northern border into Canada.
Yeah, we're watching scenes of immigrants and their families with young children fleeing the U.S., crossing illegally, all hoping to begin the process of emigrating there as refugees. And ABC's Eva Pilgrim is at a border crossing for us this morning in upstate New York. Hi, Eva.
Dan and Paul, this is one of the crossings people have been using illegally. You can see the road here is closed. Just on the other side, the Royal Canadian Border Patrol is waiting for anyone who might come this way. And there have been so many people using this to cross into Canada. They've actually carved out a path right here in the snow.
It's very painful.
This morning, immigrants in limbo desperately fleeing to the north. Families with small children making the trek on foot in the snow, dragging everything they own. Canadian Border Police making arrests, but assisting those who make a refugee claim.
We made it, and we're happy with that.
The number of asylum seekers illegally crossing along the Quebec border skyrocketing. In January, 452 incidents, an increase of 230% above the same month in 2016.
All our resources are pretty much booked. There's almost no space left.
The influx really picking up in November. Election night, the Canadian immigration website crashing. Now uncertainty across the country, fueling fear after recent immigration raids and continued debate over the president's executive order banning refugees from 7 majority Muslim countries.
We'll never be divided.
Large pro-immigration rallies in Texas and in New Mexico. Here in upstate New York, a steady stream of people using these closed roads to illegally cross into Canada. Canada allowed nearly 40,000 Syrian refugees into their country in the past year. In a joint news conference with President Trump, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promising Canada will remain open.
We continue to pursue our policies of openness towards immigration and refugees without compromising security.
So far this weekend, immigration lawyers tell us there have been a steady stream of people crossing into Canada, and they say it does not appear to be slowing down anytime soon. Dan and Paula.
Eva, thank you. For more on all of this, let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, John Karl, who's going to be hosting This Week later this morning. John, good morning. Let's start with the president's meetings today with these potential national security advisors. Why has this job been so hard for Donald Trump to fill?
Well, the biggest problem is he had a guy he wanted for the job. He even mentioned it at his press conference on Thursday, Admiral Bob Harward. And it turns out Harward simply didn't want to take the job. He cited personal reasons. But, Dan, there's also certainly concern about the chaos at the White House. Another person he was looking at, David Petraeus, pulled himself out because he was concerned about whether or not he would be able to appoint his own staff at the National Security Council. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of talk of basically loyalty oaths that you need to take to be in this administration. There was somebody who was at a senior position at the Department of Housing and Urban Development who was actually walked out after getting the job because it had been found out that he had written things, said things critical of Donald Trump during the campaign.
And you talk about possible chaos at the White House. We've seen discontent and chaos, to say the least, at these town halls across the country, many voicing concerns, John, about the Trump administration's connections with Russia. So what's next in the congressional investigation into this matter?
Well, you have the House and Senate Intelligence Committees that are looking into this. The investigation that seems particularly serious is the one in the Senate Intelligence Committee. Now, one challenge here, Paula, is those committees do much of their work behind closed doors because they deal with so much classified information. So it's still unclear how much of this investigation will be out in the public where we'll all be able to see what's going on.
Hey, John, let's talk about that rally yesterday where we saw the president, as I said before, really clearly enjoying his time with his supporters. He was apparently trying to change the subject after all of the turmoil we've seen in the last couple of weeks in Washington. Do you think he succeeded?
Well, I don't know about that, Dan, but I think there's another reason for this. Certainly he wanted to change the subject. Certainly he wanted to get on a more positive note here. But there's also like a personal psychological thing going on with the president. He loves this stuff. He gets energized by it. And, the White House can be an isolating, maybe even lonely place, especially when everybody outside in Washington seems to be out to get you. There he is, back in campaign mode among adoring fans. I think it was a part about for himself getting the mojo back to a degree.
And it looks like on that front, at least, he succeeded.
Yes, I think so.
John Carl, thank you very much. We always love having you on. And I want to remind everybody, John's got a big show coming up this morning, including the aforementioned Vice Admiral Robert Harward, the man who turned down President Trump's offer to be his new national security advisor, plus former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski and former Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook facing off over President Trump's first month in office. It's all coming up on This Week later this morning, right here on ABC.